The water has definitely started to recede since we've been here, but officials warn they expect these floodwaters to rise and to fall gradually over the next several days. DeMarco?
Jericka, the flooding in Jacksonville was expected at least to a point. Before the storm hit, the city urged voluntary evacuations of low-lying areas. Looking at conditions now, would you say Irma's impact surpassed what officials expected?
Absolutely. I mean, the mayor put it best when he said this was Category 3 storm surge in a tropical storm. So we're talking about a community that had not seen storm surge like this since 1864. Earlier in the morning, they thought this was the worst since Dora, which was in 1964, but they did more research and they realized that the city hasn't seen that sort of storm surge in well over 100 years. So they were prepared in terms of knowing things could get bad, and they did do those voluntary evacuations on Wednesday. But the mayor said those areas like around the St. Johns River, the communities that were more than likely going to flood or have extreme damage, they asked those people to evacuate on Friday. So they feel like they gave folks a heads up on the voluntary side saying, hey, this is looking kind of bad. You should probably get out Wednesday. But then they made those evacuation orders mandatory on Friday. So now here we are. They're still rescuing people. The mayor, as you heard in the piece, said we are in rescue mode. And he said that this is something that they could be dealing with for the next several days. And they're almost prepared to deal with this sort of flooding for up to the next week.
Oh my, and that's a long time there. You talked about rescues there. In your piece, you said more than 100 people were rescued Monday. What more can you tell us about the rescue operations in the city?
That is the main focus of the mayor. He's more concerned about making sure lives are saved, if people can't get out of their homes or they need help. So his focus really seems to be there. I mean, he said it when we did our interview with him today. Rescue is our mission. We don't want any lives lost. This is a terrible situation that they're dealing with when you're talking about floodwaters and people being unable to leave their home or needing assistance. So they're focused on that, as well as trying to get the city back up and running again. But even though this is a certain small portion of the city, this is not all of Jacksonville, obviously, it affects many people who live and work in this area.
And Jericka, final question for you. You talked about this. The flooding could continue for about a week as the storm surge persists and tides rise and fall. What concerns are you hearing from the people of Jacksonville moving forward?
Many concerns that we even heard in Houston, as you recall, with when they're going to be able to get back into their homes. Obviously, the devastation not as intense as it was in Houston here. But whenever you're dealing with people who have a way of operating in a certain normalcy, if you will, and it gets thwarted because of a storm, well, then there are questions about when they're going to get back to work, when their children are going to go back to school. But most importantly, of course, in the places that are most at risk, it's about making sure people are safe. Once the safety factor is under control, then it becomes how much damage do we have to the property? How long will it take for me to get back into my home? What sort of damage am I looking at? And those sort of things. But of course, you know, the first and foremost, most important issue in any storm or hurricane that I've ever covered has always been making sure that people are safe.
Yeah, safety is always top priority. Jericka Duncan in Jacksonville. Jericka, thank you.